Hello, welcome to Cinema Studies. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I sincerely appreciate your time. If you enjoy this sort of content, classic movie reviews, cult classic discussions, Blu-ray hauls, things like that, film enthusiast content, then please consider subscribing to my channel. Click the like button on this video. I would really appreciate that. And give me a comment down below. I want to have a discussion with you. Let me know your opinion on the things that I discuss in this video. Today, we are getting into the twisted mind of the great Canadian film director, David Cronenberg, with his 1983 cult classic, Videodrome. Let's take a look.
Television can change your mind. Videodrome will change your body. Long live the new flesh. Videodrome, starring Deborah Harry and James Woods. A shocking new vision from the creator of Scanners.
Videodrome is a volatile mixture of exploitation and art house cinema, and I think to truly understand it, we first have to look at the mad genius behind all of this, the great David Cronenberg. Born in 1943, David was exposed to the arts by a very young age. His mother was a musician and his father was a writer. In several interviews, he said that he had no plans of being a filmmaker, but was instead focused on being a novelist. But after creating a couple of low-budget experimental films at the end of the 60s, he decided to pursue a life in the film business. However, at the time there was no real industry for film in Canada, and Cronenberg feared that he would have to leave and go to Hollywood to pursue a career.
So I decided at a certain point, yes, I wanted to be a professional filmmaker. That would be my life. I gave up the idea of being a novelist and I thought, I'm going to be a filmmaker. That meant if I was going to stay in Canada, going to Montreal and engaging with Cinepix. I went there, I met John Dunning and Andre Link, the two Cinepix guys, the Cinepixies.
Right away, Cronenberg brought them a script that he titled Orgy of the Blood Parasites, which ended up becoming his feature film directing debut in 1975, Shivers.
What are they? Raging demons from another world? Bloodthirsty creatures that must be killed? Or incarnations of absolute evil?
The early films of Cronenberg were categorized by disturbing violence and perverse sexuality. And for as sleazy and low budget as Shivers feels most of the time, there was still an intelligence behind the horror. There was something different about it. It was something really sort of new to the genre, and something that has now become synonymous with the Cronenberg name, what we now refer to as body horror. Whether it's the blood-sucking phallus coming out of Marilyn Chambers' armpit in Rabid, or the manifestation of anger in The Brood.
Look!
Or the telekinetic powers in Scanners. Cronenberg made his mark by showing that the scariest threats came from physical transformation. How the mind and the body are inexorably linked. And whether it is experimental surgery or drugs or a phantom television station, we are all being changed by the world around us. And that leads us to our topic today. Videodrome is about the paranoia of what outside forces we could be allowing into our homes through our television screens.
Instead of TV, the one you take to bed with you.
And while some may feel that this film is very dated now with its analog technology, you have to put yourself in the mindset of when it was put out. The early 80s was a time of transition for television. VCRs were just now becoming accessible to the average consumer. It was a new way to deliver media into the person's home. This was also a decade known for censorship. It was the time of the video nasties, a list of banned films in the UK because the government feared at the time that people seeing extreme content would cause them to become extreme themselves. And of course, by banning anything, you immediately make people want it more. And no one knows that better than the main character of our story, Max Wren, a sleazy programmer for a public access television station that feeds on the very edge of human depravity. Sex, violence, whatever will make people watch. And if you've seen the movie, then you know that the trouble starts when he comes into contact with a pirate frequency that is just that. Torture, rape, mutilation, all the worst stuff.
Don't you feel such shows contribute to a social climate of violence and sexual malaise? And do you care?
I care enough, in fact, to give my viewers a harmless outlet for their fantasies and their frustrations. And as far as I'm concerned, that's a socially positive act.
In many ways, Cronenberg is playing devil's advocate in this film. His films up until this point have been savagely attacked for their brutal violence and sexual content.
When I came down here to talk to the MPAA about ratings, it was still a relief compared with what happens in Ontario, which is that they take your picture, they take every print, and they cut it, and they hand it back to you, and they say, this is your new movie. They keep the pieces that they've taken out, and you go to jail for 2 years if those are projected, if you put the pieces back. And that's real censorship.
So he took the censor's very idea from them. What if viewing violence actually did make you violent? There are strong themes, especially in the first half of the film, of how television is numbing us. And this is a theme that Cronenberg will go on to explore even further in movies like Crash. But by bringing televisions into our homes, we're being exposed to things that we would never see otherwise. And the more sex and violence that we see, the less that it affects us. In fact, Nikki Brand, she feels like a character that could have been pulled straight out of Crash. She runs this self-help radio station, and yet she has to cut herself and burn herself, seemingly just to feel anything. I think Videodrome actually sort of predicted the future of society more than we would like to believe. Technology really has and continues to rewire our brains, especially now with smartphones and social media, where we're being bombarded every minute of the day with advertisements or opinion pieces that are specifically designed to grab our attention and influence our decisions. Max Wren is sort of the embodiment of these companies through Civic TV. He has no thought about what any of this could be doing to us, only to continue to feed our overstimulated minds with whatever will grab our attention. And through that, he himself is being manipulated into a weapon for someone else's needs. There's a real meta quality to Videodrome. It's an extreme film about the dangers of extreme films. As if Cronenberg is looking at us from the other side of the screen, asking us, should you be watching what you're watching? The film feels hypnotic, almost subliminal, as if we ourselves are being brainwashed by the Videodrome signal. Here's an interesting quote from an essay written by Carrie Rickey entitled, "Make Mine Cronenberg." In Videodrome, Cronenberg identifies power structures that are essentially invisible, while exalting the awesome dynamics of the body, its sexual energy, its capacity for the extrasensory, its suggestibility. He implies that the body is a transient state between individual existence and the creation of a new flesh, for which the television screen is literally the retina of the mind's eye.
The television screen has become the retina of the mind's eye.
In the trance-like, confounding universe of Videodrome, the only way to resist eradication is to transform oneself into pure electronic energy.
Along with the new flesh.
Videodrome is a purely hallucinatory experience, and the rough murkiness of it makes me love it even more. And it's that sense of the unexplainable, the unknown, the unforeseen that is really disturbing and frightening to me. The physical transformations in this movie are absolutely incredible. From the undulating television-made flesh, or the gun that shoots cancer, or the incredibly vaginal-looking orifice inside Max Wren's stomach. Somehow, special effects wizard Rick Baker makes this all look simple. He takes inanimate, analog objects and makes them look like living, breathing things. For a film almost 40 years old, Videodrome still feels like it has something to say. And that's what's great about David Cronenberg. Almost all of his movies have something to say about the human condition, the psychology of human beings. I just think it's really fascinating and really great that he was able to work in the studio system for several films, but he never sacrificed that avant-garde quality that made him a unique filmmaker. Well, that's it for my video on Videodrome. I hope you enjoyed my sort of analysis of it. It wasn't exhaustive. I didn't go over every single aspect, but I just went through my thoughts on the film as I was watching it the last couple of times, and the things that really stood out to me and the interesting aspects to it. Cronenberg has become a filmmaker that I've become really fascinated over the last year or so, and I keep thinking about his movies and going back to his movies over and over again. If the hypnosis on this video is working now, then you're now going to click the like and subscribe button, as well as comment down below with your thoughts on Videodrome, as well as just Cronenberg in general. I'd love to see what you guys think of him as a filmmaker, because he's really become someone that I'm fascinated with. Until next time, guys, that's it for me today. Long live the new flesh.